Hello and welcome back to Gnomoria. It's been a while since I've recorded any of this game. I haven't really progressed the kingdom. It's been running for a few minutes just to test some things to make sure it was all stable. There have been a few patches out since the last time I recorded, and I've updated the game, but sometimes that can mean that the game won't act the way it should. But all is well, or at least seems to be well. I can only hope it is. And so we're going to record some more of this now. As I said, it's been a little while since I've recorded any Gnomoria. I got a little bit carried away with XCOM and Dark Souls. So I hope you guys remember what we were up to. In case you didn't, in the last episode, we started building our wall, which I'm continuing the construction of now. And we'd just built a carpenter and had started to produce crates. Now, I've just paused it for a second just so I can go over something. What we're doing right now is building pine crates and pine barrels. And we're going to keep a stockpile of 2 of these at any one time. Just so that it's easy for me to build more if I need to. And as a result, the gnomes are putting the logs into the crates. Now, I haven't placed down any more barrels. And the way you place crates or barrels or bags, anything that can store another thing, is you go to build and you go to storage. These can only be placed in stockpiles. So we're just going to put down some barrels. We've got 2 in reserve. We'll just put 2 down because we're not actually producing anything that'll use them yet, but we will be shortly. Now, another thing that was done is you can now assign gnomes to various workshops. And if you do that, only that gnome will be cleared to use that workshop. Now, I don't know if it vets the gnome to make sure that they've actually got the right set of professions to use the workshop or not. So use with care if you use it at all. I probably will use it, but only later. Now we'll continue with the wall a bit. Just drag this wall out about here. Now, the next thing that I've been doing... Actually, I've taken that too far, haven't I? Yes, I have. Derp. Let's remove that job. Cancel job. I want to cancel that job. Now I'll let our gnomes go about their business for a little while. The next thing they've done is they've added the ability to assign specific goods. So here, where we had good soil clump, and that was all we had, we can now specify, can dirt or clay be stored there? If we have stone, we can specify what type of stone. We only have granite available to us, so that's all it's showing. But in the case of wood, we've got all types of woods available, but we've only made pine planks, so only pine is available. And that is an improvement over Dwarf Fortress, in my opinion, because in Dwarf Fortress, you can select the material type to be stored, but you can't... It doesn't care whether that material is available to you. So you have to navigate the entire list, and it's an enormous list of materials to decide which one you want to build, which one you want to allow the stockpile to hold. And like I said, these lists can be enormous. There can be a huge amount of materials. So, in my opinion, that's an advancement over the original. Now, we want to move those 3 floors there. Remove floor. No, not replace floor. Remove floor. The next thing that has been added... Well, there were a bunch of bug fixes. And I'm not going to go through all of those because they won't really affect you guys. They've tidied up combat training, which is pretty cool as well. But for the most part, you probably won't notice any difference because I hadn't really explained much to you. So unless you play the game, these wouldn't really make any sense. The other thing we wanted to do when we last left off, we've got the stockpiles cleaned out. We wanted to build a dormitory. Now, for that, we're going to need another workshop. The reason for that is beds will require sheets. Who would want to sleep on a basic wood bed? I mean, obviously, if your alternative is the earth, I would, but apparently the gnomes won't. They have standards far higher than mine. So we want to have cloth. We want a loom, because we're going to need bed sheets. So we're going to build this loom about here, just for now. It's a temporary thing at best. Our builders are continuing to build stuff. The wall's up. And there should be a lot of dirt to be moved around, so they're getting on with that. We could probably do with cutting these trees down, actually. So let's get our woodcutters to fell those trees so they've got something to do. Any other trees we want? We could take these ones as well. And just have our gnomes. I think I was calling them dwarves again. Have our gnomes ferry the logs into the various crates down here. And once that's done, we're going to continue with pulling down this mountain, well, hill, so that we can completely box in this lake. That way we'll have a water source just for us, which will be quite useful. For now, I'm not going to worry too much about making these walls fancy. Usually I double the walls' depth and build up on a second tier so that the walls are too high on the outside, but I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. But whilst our builders are doing their job, let's firstly replace this wall, this clay wall, with a dirt wall. So we've got the clay. And next, let's begin fashioning out what will eventually be a very early dormitory. So let's do that. Once we've got the loom built, we'll start having them turning the cotton that we've got into bolts of cloth. And then with that, we'll start making some beds so that our gnomes will actually have somewhere to sleep. And as I mentioned in the last episode, I believe, the higher the quality the bed, the higher quality the room that they're sleeping in, the less the gnomes will need to sleep. So it's very, very useful to give them somewhere to sleep, even if it's very temporary, even if it's just like a massive dormitory where everyone's going to sleep together. Later on, you definitely want to give them individual rooms. Right, these guys are finished up here, so let's take this down as well. As I mentioned, the early part of the game is a lot of terraforming, and I am going to try and avoid doing too much of that. We're just going to fashion out a little area here, and later on, as the game progresses, we'll start cutting more parts of the world. For our gnomes, they are continuing to plant the applewood forest, or wood, or crops. I'm not sure what that would class as. And we'll just start lowering this part of the hill. Now we're on the 4th day of spring. The 5th day of spring will, well, the 5th day of any season will be when traders arrive. We don't have any traders right now, unfortunately. But, well, we don't have any trades to trade with them, I should say. So we're not going to make it a priority to build a marketplace to have them visit. If you don't have a marketplace, I don't believe they even stop at your site. But if you have got a marketplace, but it's just inaccessible, for example, you've built it behind walls, then they'll hang around on the periphery, and you can make room for them to get in, and as soon as they can see a valid path, they'll rush in and take up space in the marketplace. And once they've done that, they will offer you their trades. They'll stay until about the 7th day, I believe, of the season, then they'll leave. Now, we want to continue pulling this down. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick to minimize the amount of walking your gnomes have to do. Because right now, they're all rushing down here, picking up the dirt, rushing back up there, and they're going to keep doing that for a while. What we're going to do is we're going to create little high-priority stockpiles for dirt over here. And once they have filled that stockpile up, we'll undesignate the stockpile. But what will happen, and why this makes it faster, because they are going to have to then move that dirt over. But once the dirt has been stacked into a pile, so let's say there's a pile of 64 dirt there, one gnome will pick up that entire pile of 64 dirt and cart it over to the stockpile. Or at least that's what it was in the previous versions. They may have fixed that, I don't know. I guess it is a bit of an exploit, perhaps. I'm not sure. It might be a feature. It doesn't really seem harmful, just seems more efficient. Right, so whilst they're doing that, we'll have them build this wall out a little bit further. We won't take it right to the edge because creatures tend to spawn near the edges of the map. And I'm not sure what would happen if they tried to spawn there and then couldn't because there was a wall. Would they spawn inside the camp? I don't know. But I don't want to risk finding out. For now, though, we'll make another little stockpile. So we want to designate area, stockpiles. Make it a 3x3. We're going to make it priority number 1. So for now, our gnomes are going to prioritize putting things in this stockpile above anything else. So this stockpile should be sorted out pretty quickly. More of our gnomes sleeping on the floor. That's not so good. Have we got enough planks yet? Let's go to stocks and find out. Items, goods. Right, how much blocks have we got? We've got 20 blocks, that's fine. That's exactly what we want. And how many planks? We've got 7 planks. Aha. Any pine logs? Right, we've run out of pine logs, that's what it is. Okay then, so we need some more pine. Or we need to just tell them to do whatever they want. No, there's pine over here, so let's get over here and fell these trees. This is the problem when you tell them what type of material to use. Is they, well obviously just like their production orders will back up and all get clogged if you run out of something. There we go. That should sort out the pine log requirements. And a little word on priorities. It seems that any tile you place, like a cursor placed designation, so for example where I've designated these trees to be cut, is utterly the highest priority. Designating these areas to be mined or ramped down, what have you, highest priority. Placing workshops, I believe, again, very high priority because I've specifically told them to do it. Second to that then is stockpiling. Sorry, no. If they've got a job which involves a workshop, that's the second priority. And if not, then they'll just move things around stockpiles. And within stockpiles, it seems that the items at the top of the list come first. So dirt, rock, wood. So knowing that can help you a little bit in making your gnomes a little bit more efficient. And that stockpile's almost completely full. So we'll make another one over here. And just soil. Let them do their thing. So as soon as they're finished here, well, we'll let them finish this one up first, because if I just undesignate this now, they're just going to move those stacks over there as well. But that should work for now. And there we go, our loom is being made. Now, whilst they're doing that, I suppose we'll have our carpenter build a door, I think. We would like a door. And at least 2 beds at any one time. Oh well, we can't tell them to even start that because there are no bolts of cloth. You have to have at least one of the item available in your kingdom at some point. I believe you have to have had it at once for it to work. If I've ever had a bolt of cloth, I think I'll be able to make more beds even if I don't currently have bolts of cloth, or at least rather I'll be able to queue them up. But until I've had one, until I've had at least one of that item somewhere, it'll always be grayed out, so I need the loom first. There we go, loom. We want this on repeat. Oh, sorry. First we want to set that up, but we don't want cloth in its native, in just cloth form. Cotton in that. We want it to be bolts of cloth, so we want them to do that forever, really. If you've got alpacas, they'll also produce wool, and that's much more valuable than cotton. So if you can, make beds out of wool and something like birch or apple wood, so that the value of the bed is much higher, and thus the room it's in is much higher, and so in turn the gnomes will need to sleep less. Let's go ahead and do this over here. Place some more of these floors so we've got more clay, and then soon I'll probably set up a kiln and get some people making clay figurines, because so far I've not found any other use for clay. Clay is completely useless by and large. Well, that's a relatively large apple forest, so what we can do now then is make another grove, equally huge, about that big, for birch. And we'll make this a very high priority. All we want to do right now is plant them and grow it. So we'll have the doors, our agriculture people doing that. Hopefully we'll have most of the dirt stockpiled soon. Looks like they've almost finished that actually, which is great. So let's continue expanding this wall out. It's now the 5th day of spring. Making good time. Let's bring this all the way down there. And just push this wall back a little bit. Yeah, there we go. And then we will more or less have our defenses built, except for like the odd little bit of left open so that the gnomes can get outside and pull things into the stockpiles. But we won't have too much more of that to do. We've almost finished pulling all the wood in. And right, now we want to tell the sawmill to craft at least, we want at least 10 pine planks at any one time. We also want 10 applewood planks at any one time. And finally 10 birch planks at any one time. The reason why I'm doing it this way, rather than just saying make at least 20 planks, or 30 planks in this case, is that he might just make 30 pinewood planks. And because there are enough planks, he wouldn't think to make any more. But if I've then said, oh, well, I want a birch bed, and I don't have any birch planks, it would cause my production queues to just grind to a halt. So by doing it this way, we're safeguarding against that possibility. And it looks like our builders are almost finished replacing all the dirt over there. And once you've done that, they'll... oh, no, there we are. Starting on the wall already. That's brilliant. I'll just leave these guys to get that last bit of dirt from there. And then that should be them done with hauling dirt. So they'll start focusing on things like logs, hopefully. Or strawberries. It looks like our farmers have done the strawberry fields, which is pretty cool. I think these are actually a higher priority. I hope they are. Let me just check these. The groves should be lower priority. Should be at least... we'll make the apple grove a 6 and the birch grove a 5, I think. Just so that they'll always prioritize doing the fields above them. There we go. So let's remove the designation of that stockpile and that stockpile. And now... oh no, a honey badger! Now they can mess your day up. Like, truly and utterly ruin your gnomes' lives. Please don't come in. Oh, phew. Right, actually, I'm going to build this wall off. Now, in the day, they won't mess with you too much. They see you, you see them. They don't want any of it. We're happy to let them not want any of it. And we have a sort of an understanding. At night time, though, your gnomes will be out there sleeping. The honey badger will notice them sleeping. And yeah, he will eat his face off. And that is a very bad thing. As you can imagine. And also, it interrupts the gnomes. So they'll like try to do something and then see it. And then, ah, no, drop my stuff, run away. Which is a pain in the backside as well. Especially when you're trying to do something important, like finish your defenses. But once this wall is done, the honey badger just stays over there. Then hopefully won't be seeing any of our people. What just happened? Yeah, okay, we're fine. Right, so the farmers are harvesting some raw wheat. And we can probably start making beds now. So we're not going to make 4-poster beds, though that would be quite dapper. We're going to make just applewood planks and cotton. And we want, well, let's have at least 2 of these at any one time available. So we can expand later on if needed. Come on, guys, stop playing with the honey badger. Where is he? Where is the honey badger? Oh, thank goodness, he's all the way over there. I'm happy with that. Okay, events. Did anything just happen? No. Okay. Looks like a couple of our gnomes are sleeping. We'll let them have their rest. They deserve it. Oh, they've earned it and deserved it at the same time. Right, got clay up there. And just generally waiting now for people to start getting things in order. So whilst they're doing that, let's start plans on something else. We're going to need a lot more rock. So we may as well start expanding out these mines. There's no point in going any further that way because we've hit the boundary, I think. Now, deeper down, doing this would be incredibly stupid. Because the deeper you go, the more nasties you start to locate. I think below the 10th level of depth, you'll start to encounter beetles. And beetles can and will ruin your fortress. They're incredibly hard to kill because of their natural armor. You can also find golems, but they're not too hard. But beetles are death to a fortress, unfortunately. Unless you've got quite a well-trained military. Let's have a look around here. So they're replanting the wheat fields now. You don't always get 2 seeds back from everything you harvest, but 9 times out of 10 you will. Or at least 8 times out of 10. So gradually your crops will expand. But with wheat, I find it's very useful to buy all of the wheat seeds that you can from any merchants you trade with. Because you need a lot of wheat. And they do expand slowly, unfortunately. What on earth are you doing? Okay, they're going on a very long, meandering way, so we'll mine this wall out now that the honey badger is buggered off. Just so that they've got an easier way into the fort. Again. So they're not walking all the way around it. Unfortunately, the pathing for the gnomes is, well, it leaves a lot to be desired, I'm afraid. That's something which Dwarf Fortress has much better. I mean, the pathing isn't great, but it's not ridiculously stupid either. Have we got enough pine planks? Yes, we do. Okay, we'll build this out of pine planks then. And we've got our first beds. And I believe we'll probably already have our door. Now, to place these sorts of things, you need to go to your furniture. So we've done that. And now we want beds. And you're not limited to only placing the amount of beds that you own, for example. By the way, R rotates something in the screen. So we'll just rotate them to face the right way. As you can see, we only had 2 beds, but now that we've got a bed at all, I can place them as I want. So as soon as these beds are made, they'll be put up there. And I'll wait until that's all done before I place the dormitory. Because the way it works, if there's a designated thing to be built and you're trying to place an area down, so I was trying to say that this whole room is a dormitory, these squares with the unbuilt beds would not be included in that because the designation to build them is blocking the dormitory. So we'll wait for all the beds to be built first and then we'll go ahead and expand that out. Alright. Got some clippings out there. We'll leave that for now. So it now just comes down to waiting. Oh, actually, here's something else we want. We want at least 2 bags at any one time. Actually, we'll cancel that. We want 2 bags of cotton. Because bags are unimportant, so we don't want to use expensive stuff to make them. Likewise, then, we want at least an awful lot of cotton bandages. So we're going to craft 100 of these. And I know you might be thinking, whoa, 100 bandages, but a gnome will use a bandage to stop bleeding. And in a single fight, they might be bleeding from like 8 or 9 different parts of their body. And while that might not kill them straight away, it will eventually kill them off. You'll have a little bit of time, but they'll just rush off, find a bandage and apply it. And each bandage, from what I've seen, will prevent them from, will stop the bleeding. So it's very important to use, I think, to have like an enormous stockpile, because an entire military, like, you know, a squad can be 5 people, and if an entire squad was in a single fight with a dangerous opponent and each one had 7 or 8 bleeding wounds, then that's 100 bandages are going to be reduced to about, I don't know, 40, 50. I'm not really doing the math there, obviously, but you would use them quite quickly. Especially if your peasants get into a fight, because they're not going to have any dodging skills at all, so they're going to be just taking wound upon wound upon wound. Now, by placing these bags there, they're going to start bringing in plant materials. So clippings and cotton all go into bags. They don't get stored in crates. Also, seeds get stored in bags as well, which is quite nice. Now, is there much up here that's been collected? Oh, there's quite a few apples actually still, so they're going to bring those in. And we want to replace this floor up here with more dirt. And then after that is done, we're going to turn this area up into a pine forest. Pine wood. And that should be all we'll need in terms of woods then. That much pine will be more than enough for us. And if it isn't, we can always make something down there as well. We're going to need a decent amount of room for other types of pastured animals, like the emus and the alpacas. And at some point, we will almost certainly want to expand our farms. But all of that can wait until a little bit later. Okay, they're starting to bring in the wood now. I could, if I wanted to, build a little stockpile, make it a high priority, put some crates in it, and tell it to store wood. And then, when I took that away, build the crates over here, because then they just go grab the crate with all of its wood in it and bring it down and place it. But I'm not going to. It's too much work. I'm lazy. My gnomes will have to suffer as a result of my laziness. Sorry, gnomes, but that's just the way it is. Now, we need more apple wood, I think. Actually, what are we making the beds out of? We're making the beds out of, yeah, apple wood. Okay, so let's have our agriculture guys fell these trees. It's going to generate an enormous amount of hauling for them. Because there's going to be a couple of saplings, lots of fruit. And then, of course, all the logs. But we're on the 7th day of spring now, so we've got a little while before anything big starts happening. The intentional enemies will only really invade your fort at certain points. The biggest contributor to that is fort worth. And our fort isn't worth much just yet. Or our kingdom, I should say. We can have a look here, and it's only worth 2,557. The stock, it's got, so like the saplings on the floor, the food, things like that. And then the construction worth, so the value of the things like beds and stuff that have actually been built. And the rooms themselves. Because these walls are worth something. They're just not worth very much at all. Because they're just regular dirt walls. Now, what we want to do is aim to have completely sealed our fort off by about midday on the first day of summer. That will have given us time to have one nomad migration here. So we'll have some more people to use. Oh no, that's stockpile's full. Damn it. Okay. We're going to be waiting now on people to have finished pulling all the other crap before they start clearing the planks out of this place so that the worker can start work on it. But on the plus side, that means both of our woodcutters are now helping with hauling for a little bit. So that's not too bad, I suppose, but it does mean we're going to be waiting on the last of the beds. Now they're bringing in, by the looks of it, the seeds, is it? Could be. Yeah, they're now trying to stockpile the seeds. The good thing with this is that because we haven't built many sacks, they're going to be restricted in how many seeds they can place. Once they run out of room here, they're going to have to start on this stockpile, and that's only going to store so much. So eventually, they're going to start looking at the things they can store, which are going to be things like planks and wood again. So, but it's coming up towards the 30-minute mark now, and let's have a look at what we've accomplished. Now, just so that I've actually accomplished what I set out to do, I'm going to cancel those and then designate this area as a dormitory. So, like this. I know, it doesn't quite look properly. You can drop the walls. Ooh, honey badger inside the camp. That's not good. How did you get in, you little shit? But as I was saying, you can press F. Well, you can reassign this key. But that drops the walls a bit, so it's a bit easy to see behind them. So we're going to assign this as a dormitory, and it's worth 318. That's cool. It's not great, but, you know, it's workable. And we'll redesignate these beds to be built. We don't mind what beds are built here. Place these in. There we go. Now, this potentially could be a pain in the ass, because he's Man, what is with the honey badgers? It's a honey badger invasion. Just get out. That's right. There, phew. And stay out. And don't eat my gnomes. Because that would be terrible. So, we've more or less achieved everything we wanted to with that. We've got the dormitory done. We are continuing the walls. We won't seal them off completely until summer. But we really do need to get more hauling done, I'm afraid. What are they hauling now? Oh, they're probably hauling stuff from up in the mine area. For the time being, this is actually quite dark. And that would be very dangerous deeper down. Because enemies will only spawn in dark locations. So for that, you'll want torches. We don't have any coal yet to make torches, but we can build a workshop. We'll go to the metal one and go to furnace. And we'll build it out of pine planks. Granite block again. And we'll just go ahead and build that there. Now, we don't have anyone who does the furnace operation, so we're going to go to the woodcutter, because it's kind of going to be something to do with them, and turn on smelting skill. Now, what that is going to allow them to do is to turn logs into coal, or charcoal, to be more precise. And then we'll be able to use that with the carpenter to make torches. And I'll place a few torches just to illuminate this area, even though at this depth level, on surface depth, you're not going to have any trouble with things spawning. Beetles only spawn at, I believe, below depth 10, and you're not going to find zombies or skeletons this high up either. Golems, I don't know, but I think, again, that they're only going to appear below a certain depth, so we should be fine for now. But it'll be good to get into the habit of keeping the fort illuminated, and by doing that, it's actually opened up this place for more production, which is quite cool. So, yeah, the fort's in good shape, more or less, except for the honey badger invasion that's constantly going on. We'll just slow this down for a moment. We've got... our herd is expanding, which is also very nice. The more females you get, the better, because only the females produce milk. You only really need one male to ensure that they're going to continue producing offspring, so... we'll try to keep the male population fairly low. Once we've got a butcher, we'll butcher off any adult male yaks there. And that'll be the same for most of the others, like the emus definitely will only need one male. Though with the alpacas, the males also produce wool, so it's not as important to reduce their population. But we probably will try to keep there being more females than males, because obviously the females are the ones that are giving birth to young, and you only need one male for that. You can then, I think you can sell the animals later on, so they can be a really good industry, and especially the emus and the yaks together, because they'll continue to produce milk and eggs during winter, whereas crops and fruit trees, I believe, stop. I think the fruit trees might still produce fruit, but not very much. I'm not sure on that, though. But it looks like our guys are getting back to things. Our bolts of cloth and bandages and such, they've already stopped, so that's to be expected. But what we would like now is using pine logs. We want to craft coal, and we always want at least 5 coal in the fort. So we'll leave that there. And in the next episode, we're going to start illuminating the fort, placing down torches here and there to get things looking a bit better. And the next room that we're going to build is going to be a dining room. We don't actually have any food yet, and you might be wondering what the use of having a dining room without food is. But the use of the dining room is that its value as a room is doubled. You can designate one dining room in your entire kingdom as the Great Hall. And the Great Hall, idle gnomes will go there and mingle there and socialize. But the Great Hall's value is doubled when it comes to calculating how many nomads you're going to get as migrants. Because that's based on your kingdom worth. So having a really valuable Great Hall can massively increase the desirability of your kingdom as a place for gnomes to migrate to. So that's going to be the next task. We're going to work on a Great Hall and continue to pull all of this random shit outside the fort, inside the fort, so it's useful to us, including these apples. So, once again, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope you'll join me for the next one. I will be working on the Great Hall, as I've said, and generally just expanding things out. But if you have any ideas, if you play the game yourself, or if you have a particular direction you'd like me to work in, so maybe you'd want me to work on the walls more, maybe start actually building the outside layer of the fort, you know, proper stone walls, towers, things like that, do let me know. Also, I can rename the gnomes, so if you would like a gnome named after you, just let me know what you'd like, what type of profession you'd like, whether you'd like them to be a military gnome. We are going to have to build a military sooner or later, probably sooner actually, so they get some training in before they're actually required to fight anything. So just let me know if you'd like your name on the list. Otherwise, I'll just start picking people at random. But until the next episode, do take care.